A nonprofit organization, API Chaya, has been supporting Asian, Pacific Islander, and immigrant survivors of all forms of violence for almost 30 years. The organization helps survivors meet their safety, housing, and health needs, while also educating the community about what healthy relationships look like. Ahead of their 30th anniversary, Community Solutions organizer Deanne Alcantara-Thompson joins me. Welcome to New Day.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'm glad we're having this conversation. What an organization. You must be quite proud. Tell us all about API Chaya and what they do.
Yeah, so API Chaya was founded about 30 years ago, and we started because 3 women were trying to come together and support each other. Susanna Ramona Blackwell and her unborn baby, Christine, Veronica Loretta Johnson, and Bibi Dizon were all at the courthouse, the King County Courthouse, on March 2nd, 1995, to try to get a protection order for Susanna. And they were there together. They'd been meeting and just being friends, and they were all from the same place in the Philippines and had just really strongly and deeply connected. And Susanna's husband shot and killed all of them that day. And after that, the entire Filipino and Pacific Islander community really came together and decided they never wanted something like that to happen again. And in order to do that, they knew they had to provide culturally specific services to all Asian and Pacific Islander communities in this region and area.
Tell me why that's so important to really serve a specific demographic and cultures.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the big things was just like I was saying about Susanna, she was new to this country. She hadn't been here for very long.
We're seeing pictures right now.
Yeah, and she didn't have a lot of friends or community, or definitely not anybody that really spoke her language. And in order to get the support that she needed from the courthouse and anywhere, she really needed friends that could sort of help her understand what was happening and what she needed to do. And I think that that's one of the big things, is just being able to get support for like really essential services, but not have to explain everything about what you eat and how you dress and where you go and where you do your where you go to church and what everything in your life looks like. So yeah.
And part of what your organization does, and this is so key, is educating the community on what healthy relationships look like and what they should look like early on. Why is that so important?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing about our field and movement to end domestic and sexual violence and human trafficking is really trying to think about, like, what is it that we want our lives and our relationships to look like, not just what we don't want. And so focusing on healthy relationships is an opportunity for everybody really to increase skills around conflict, boundaries, having expectations and sharing those, not just with your partners or your lovers, but with your kids and your family, and sometimes a boundary is the most loving thing that you can do for anyone in your life.
That's a great point. Especially we learn from each other, right? Yeah. So we learn from our parents and model that behavior, how we see them relating, or how our anger, what that happens, and that's how we learn. So I think that's key. I would imagine too that coming from different countries and different cultures, sometimes you are hesitant to trust.
Yeah, definitely.
And also hesitant to know what something should look like.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so I'm Filipino, and I was raised by a really extended Chamorro community, so the indigenous people of Guam. And I think for me, I started learning about domestic and sexual violence through a shelter that I worked at. And really the first time I heard somebody talking about domestic violence and sexual violence from a perspective that I understood was API Chaya back in 2005. And it just made all the difference in my whole life, being able to see people that looked like my family and see people that had kind of moved through the world in the same way that my family had. And I think it made it possible for me to kind of have a long-term relationship and have a healthy relationship with my son.
And just this last moment is, what other resources do you provide?
So yeah, we provide like one-on-one support for survivors of domestic and sexual violence and human trafficking. And then we also we have therapy at API Chaya, and then we provide trainings for community members, because we know that the best place for people to get support is really from their friends and family and people they already know in their churches, in their workplaces, where they're already going. So we want everybody to get that kind of training and support to be able to better support people in their own lives that are surviving.
Absolutely, and that candlelight vigil is so important. I know it's
Yeah.
been 30 years,
Yeah.
but to remember these three women and how it started this
Yeah.
organization is so key and so important. Thank you so much. And API Chaya 30th Candlelight Vigil is happening on March 2nd, and their fundraising gala is happening on March 8th. Visit API Chaya's site for more information.